Get ready to take your shot with Buckshot Brew. Brewed using Arabica beans from the Cordillera region, this strong and refreshing iced coffee drink gives you a bold flavor with a much needed kick to boost your day. Available in sweet black, chill vanilla, salted caramel, and white mocha, each drink is handcrafted so you can be sure of quality and freshness. Take your shot now with Buckshot Brew.
Okay, hi, good evening. I'm Mico from FlipGeeks Entertainment Team.
Hi, I'm Drew from FlipGeeks, entertainment team din.
And we'll be discussing the recent episodes of Andor from episode 4 to 8.
Yeah, since it's been a while then since we had the last recording, so we'll talk about the episodes we've missed. So starting from the Aldani arc, and then yung more like standalone episode afterwards, and then as last part is yung this week's episode.
Okay, let's go. So, di ba sa episode 4, Luthen got Cassian to this, and then parang they had the next deal na little did he know na it's gonna be a heist sa Imperial. They're gonna steal money, like 40 million credits.
The job was almost more like Andor was hired as a mercenary type of deal. They were gonna rob a garrison from the Imperials, and then whatever they take, it's for them now. But for Andor, he has just like I think a set salary or something from Luthen, and then yun, once done, he can go anywhere na.
Ang interesting din ng structure na to kasi normally these kinds of episodes parang mahirap siya execute since they tend to overstay its welcome, especially in scenes. Pero again, Tony Gilroy did the impossible and made it really gripping and compelling. Siguro it helps din na na in each arc, for example, set of episodes, he gives time, let the audience, get to know what are they doing, who are these people, the mission nila, how long have they been doing this.
That's what I've noticed din eh. So since they have 12 episodes for this season, what Tony Gilroy and other writers did was to like do 3 episode mini arcs. So hinati-hati nila yung buong show. But of course there's still an overarching plot no sa buong season that gets continued naman in every episode. But yeah, I like what they did with the 3 episode stories no. So may structure siya eh. Like you said, yung first episode of the arc, it's more like a setup of the story. Like, anong mangyayari?
Saka yung scale, yung environment, what's
Yeah.
Aldani.
Who are these people? What are
What's
they gonna
there?
do? Then, yung like middle episode ng 3 episode arc is yung more like developments ng character. Sino ba tong mga to?
Ursula.
Then, of course,
Oo.
yung last episode is, yun na yung climax ng arc set up.
And the heist itself eh.
Yeah.
Well, going din dun sa Aldani arc is there's so much emphasis with, kahit it's very unusual you see sa Star Wars movies. Di ba pag Star Wars movies, paano lagi may barilan, either lightsaber fights. Dito, kahit it really takes its time, parang mas mapapaano ka, talagang napupul ka na, oh my God, what's there? I wanna know more about this place. That's how the narrative plays, especially lalo pa lang sa environment, di ba? It feels different eh. And it feels na ang Rebel Alliance not all ng rebellion is, well equipped eh. This is the part of talagang bare bones ng rebels then.
Yeah, so ang biggest difference dito is so yung first arc was Morlana 1. It's more like a mining town, parang scrap dump, landfill town, no? Tapos dito naman sa Aldani, it's more of a forest with indigenous people na the Imperials have taken over their planet. And then the rebels, I think this is the first time we've actually seen what can be counted as a rebel alliance, no, of some sort. Ito yung na-arrange ni Luthen, and it's I think it's Cassian's first encounter with actual rebels who are willing to fight against the Empire. He met these people.
Lahat may motivations din. And then
Yeah,
you've got
so
them.
let's enumerate them. I think Vel, and then Skeen, Nemec, and then I forgot his name. Yung the black guy. I think what something. I forgot his name. Sorry.
Yung nagtatrabaho sa Imperial Garrison, parang undercover.
Yeah, and then there's another one yung sa team nila mismo. Yeah, I think yung undercover na is Lieutenant Gorn, I think, or yeah, it's Gorn. Then there's another one na former stormtrooper daw. And then of course there's last one is Cinta. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's the guy. And then yun si Taramin. Si Taramin yung
Ayun,
yung
yeah, yun Taramin, yes, Taramin.
Yeah. And then they play so well together then, their backstories then parang they're just everyman rebel pero Tony Gilroy and his writing team has to, create an intricate backstories then that really complements and also at the same time create conflict then. So it's not really squeaky clean that they get along, they have each other's differences. Si Skeen, he's really in this for the money, spoiler alert. And then si Tarzan to make up for his mistakes. And then Nemec believes on a higher calling. Kaya nga siya may manifesto, right?
Yeah, actually Nemec is the most interesting one Siya yung, like, for me, siya yung pinaka-radical out of all of them. Like you said, meron siyang manifesto. And the way he just talked about how oppression, like yung oppression ng empire and how people should rebel. I think it affected Cassian din in a way.
With these characters, they parang nabibuild din yung what we know Cassian is in Rogue One and the first time natin napanood back then in 6 years ago. And yung pagkaka-build niya how to or getting from point A to point B, it's its own story to understand Cassian Andor, lalo na yung mga pinagdaanan niya.
This is the start of how we see the transformation of Andor from like a regular old scrap scavenger to the rebel spy now we see in Rogue One. And I think what's great here dito sa Aldani arc is since we're so used to seeing TIE fighters and such mga Imperials, like the way they built tension here like we see a random TIE fighter flying over them. Lahat sila takot na takot. Actually, pati ako. Like, ako rin natatakot for them So, it's a new perspective of the Empire that we've never seen before.
And a perspective that, you as a regular person, parang, how would you feel if you've seen a TIE fighter? Talagang, I'm gonna get a heart attack pag nakita yung TIE fighter looming over me.
Yeah, kasi walang Jedi dito, walang anyone with powers. They're just ordinary people actually. So
like ordinary people who just got into this cause na wala masyadong supplies and underfunded saka limited logistics lang. Di ba usually when we see past Star Wars shows and films pati sa animation, di ba parang may pang electronic scheme ng map. Dito parang ginawa nilang makeshift.
Yeah, you're right.
So, parang you can really tell kung gaano sila kakapos.
Yeah, wala silang technologies, more really, really bare bones lahat. And they just made small models. I think it's Nemec who made them. Like, revealed siya in the last episode.
And it also shows join the rebellion, Hindi siya masaya, especially yung conditions. Tapos, what I'd also like to point out is, naalala mo when there are skirmishes sa mga past movies, parang they just go there and shoot their way. Dito parang pinapractice pa how you walk, and then si Tarmin kinall out ni si Cassian Ben or one of them.
Yeah, lahat pati yung the way they hold their blasters. Like one of them was left-handed, they should stand here. One of them is right-handed, they should stand on the other side. It's the small things you notice na like it's a matter of life and death kasi if they get busted wala na, they're dead.
Pati rin Inglourious Bastards, 'di ba? Yung nagkamali lang ng show ni Captain Michael Fassbender ng 3 and then bistado siya ng mga Nazis na he's a spy. Those little things, 'di ba?
Yeah, I agree. Like yung sabi mo like the way he held up a 3 sign, like it's not the way real Germans would do it. Parang ganon.
And imagine mo if one of them just they'll get locked up right away or shoot them on sight.
Yeah.
And punta naman tayo sa Empire side, dun sa Garrison.
I think they really showed how oppressive the empire really is. Like they're trying to erase all these cultures of the indigenous peoples. Like they took over this planet, and like one of them said na lalo nang kumukonti yung mga indigenous people, the natives of this planet, because
Mm-mm.
the whole setup for this story is they have like I think annual tradition or something where the
Aldani, yung
yeah the locals
supernatural.
the locals would go to this monument like as a
Mm-mm.
pilgrimage ganon, tapos and there would be meteor showers and the Aldanis would parang celebrate while
Oo.
these meteor showers are ongoing ganon.
And it's it's this phenomenon that we rarely see din sa mga Star Wars movies. Kahit din sa mga Jedi-centric episodes ng Clone Wars recently and sa sequel trilogy. And it's surprising that, that a show that has no Jedi in it managed to really plug it in.
Yeah.
Kasi those types of phenomenon you'd expect in the mystical aspects ng Star Wars storytelling. And also it didn't only establish the world building pati rin yung naging cover din siya. Diba? Ang ganda din ng pagkaka-play eh. Parang it's a play on two aspects eh. The Aldani culture and yung distraction, yung heist. Parang yun yung naging timer din nila.
Yeah, they took advantage of the event to sneak in the garrison.
Brutal ng part na yun, pagkaka-start ka lang nun, hindi swabe, and then they're all panicky, and si Skin and si Vel, parang they're waiting for the signal.
Yeah, you really feel na they were having second thoughts about what they're gonna do. But since nandun na sila, like there's no backing down anymore. To think they were actually really successful up until that time na nasa yung storage na sila ng credits. Diba? Everything went really smoothly to be honest. Except for that one guy, like, yung superior ata I think na nanlaban or something. But all in all, I think from the way they sneaked in up until they went into to get the credits. All went okay naman for their plan.
Mm-mm. It's just that parang there's meant to be na they're gonna slip at some point. Dahil pagkuha ng credits and then they got the Imperial guys, yung shootout.
It's really suspenseful. The whole episode, talagang I was on the edge of my seat. Anything could go wrong at any time.
Kind of remind me of movies, lalo na yung sa mga second acts, di ba? Parang it has that intensity din na anything could go wrong. Tapos yung parang they're gonna go for plan B. And at saka may isang disturbing part din doon na yung head nung sa garrison, who's so arrogant then and saka ang smug niya. Parang bumalik sa kanya yung pinaggawa niya, yung pagtapak niya sa mga Aldani and their culture. Parang when he was ordered to help them to grab those cash off payroll kasi given his age and he's not really physically able grab those
Yeah,
credits
he's an old guy.
as he used to. Parang ngayon naramdaman mo na how you're treating the Danis, then you're oppressing, parang it's like karma. It's also cathartic din in a way, pero
Yeah,
there's a
you're right.
catch that really scared me. Parang it just came out of blue. Bigla siya nagka-heart attack and nagka-faint.
And also I like that they are not like one-dimensional characters. Because on the day of the heist itself, we see yung superior nila. It's nandun yung family niya, his wife and his kid, and you will really think na what will these rebels actually kidnap the kid or kill the kid? And actually they almost did.
Oo eh. It's terrifying, diba? The things they do just to get that job done.
Yeah, it's writing is really good. These characters are complex.
It's fantastic then.
Yeah,
and the dialogue is just sharp.
It's just shows na they're just two sides of the same coin. They will do bad things for their cause, like kidnap a child or actually shoot the kid. Taking them hostage, mga ganun.
Yes, from that moment, akala ko nga papatayin talaga yung bata eh. Which, my God, I'm so impressed that this was able to allow Tony and his team, to do all these sorts of things. Yung imperialist undertones na Empire, we usually see them sa movies parang teensy bit lang. Pero dito parang we see them in detail that really, it makes you feel na ano, the way they're portrayed, at saka yung mga scenes and they're grabbing you by the neck,
Yeah,
as Luthen said.
Yung sa movies din kasi, ano eh, parang mas black and white yung movies eh. You have a hero, Jedi, Luke Skywalker, you have the
Uh,
villain,
Tapos
Darth
yung
Vader,
Stormtrooper,
Sith.
mga cannon
Oo.
fodder.
They're just like
Ole.
straight up evil. But here, mas may nuance yung mga Imperials. Like one of the guy, I think nung naka-hostage yung kid, yung visiting officer was like, just let the kid go. We'll do what you want. Like you never expect something like that from the Empire. Na akala mo talaga they're bad people, but it's
Oo.
little things like that. Eh.
Yung may sarili sa buhay that you barely see from the movies and also pati din TV shows din. I mean, no offense din sa Kim of Gideon sa The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
As much as I adore and respect Giancarlo Esposito, and also yung visuals rin yung chase sequence, and the way they played with the eye phenomenon sa Aldani, it's just complete bonkers. Grabe.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When that meteor shower happened, it's really, really, really beautiful. Ang ganda tignan. Lalo na when they were TIE fighters chasing them. Ang ganda.
Oo, and then yung dinedirect sila ni Nemec, if I remember correctly, to which direction to point out. Tapos ginamit nila yun, to showering at their advantage to really to take out those TIE fighters. And grabe, first time ako natakot sa TIE fighter, yung pagkaka-frame niya, parang it's like this, it's like this elite, it's like this Grim Reaper na na talaga.
They were all wearing black.
Oo, yung pagkaka-frame niya, yung high angle and talagang parang pinakita doon what they're capable of, why they're dangerous, and why people fear them. Diba?
Yeah, it's easy to forget that these are elite pilots. Eh.
Oo.
Tapos, lalo na ngayon yung ship nila was only a freighter ship. It's not a X-wing or a
Oo.
combat ready ship. They're just really
Walang
wala. They're just for storage.
God, and that, tsaka yung above it all, talagang yung pagkamatay din ni Nemec was also like talagang a shock in a way.
It's shocked din ako na namatay siya actually. And it's kind of sad. I like him.
I like him a lot and his manifesto and his idea. It also give you a glimpse, na ito pala yung Rebel Alliance na idealistic who would hold up to their ideals, fighting for freedom, they're freedom fighters. You get that side bukod sa gritty aspect of Saw and Duthen. And it also shown na may consequences then if you act recklessly, if you slip, talagang you can't just get away with their scot-free. Parang pag if you really messed up a bit, talagang it will really go back to you. And with, Nemec, parang may weight din sa ginawa nila. There's also this responsibility, this parang bibit-bitin mo din to, yung casualty ng
Yeah,
kasama
true.
mo.
Casualties talaga are all part of the war. It's war. And there will be
war.
deaths at some point.
And then yung binalikan din ni Cassian sa Skin and just shot him, hey, kunin na natin pera and just let's get out of here. Parang kita mo pa lang doon yung impact ng Skin Parang Skin didn't die. Nemec didn't die, just so you can, grab your own money.
Yeah, dun mo rin makikita na I think Cassian was, starting to realize, was starting to really believe in the cause. Eh. Like, unlike Skin na he made up this fake story about his brother just to, throw it all out in the end and just steal the money and leave everything. And Andor didn't want any of that. So, kahit na mercenary for hire lang yung role niya doon, like, in a way na attached din siya sa mga kasama niya doon eh. Especially
And he felt
especially with Nemec. So, he shot Skin and warned well. Like, he could just run away, left, but he warned Vel and he just took his share. Hindi niya kinuha lahat ng pera,
So there you get, the full picture. Yung parang, Aldani and gives you what a grassroots rebel look like, Rebel Alliance in the making na it didn't really start out smoothly. And going to Mon Mothma then, it's not really going well with her then, lalo na yung bank transfer niya sa charity events, di ba? Parang cover for Luthen.
So in episode 4 is the first time we see Mon Mothma, and
Mm-mm.
she's part of she's known as the mother of the Rebel Alliance in the movies, but here we see her just a senator trapped in the bureaucracy of the empire. She has a connection with Luthen, who is
Mm-mm.
secretly an who's has a who is an art
Auctioneer.
dealer.
And the thing with with Mon Mothma and her her career, it gives you then yung what the Senate under the Emperor na it's all crickets, hindi na siya like back in the prequels na parang they can bicker, they can pass resolution. Parang dito parang it's more controlled and kakaunti na lang and wala nang nakikinig sa kanya.
Yeah, actually, she's fighting an uphill battle talaga. Like,
Oo.
in the age of the empire, it's really surprising na meron pang mga senators like her who's fighting for human rights and all that stuff.
Tapos yung mga peers niya are slowly are distancing themselves and explain na this is for peace and security. It also shows din na kung gaano kung gaano kasama ng empire, na kung gaano sila kaberdugo.
They have spies on her all the time. They're
Oo.
watching her. Pinapalitan nila yung driver niya.
Yeah, di ba? Parang dun pa lang parang hindi safe anymore. Pati rin, di ba, yung sa Coruscant din, transportation din, yung traveling din is also closely monitored. May mga stormtroopers. And what's interesting with stormtroopers is parang hindi lang sila cartoon characters na for them to be sure parang opponents, di ba? Parang they're the elite force of the empire. They're the face of the empire. Parang they're the face of this is why you should fear the empire. You've got these stormtroopers.
They're more like soldiers under martial law. Ganun talaga siya.
Oo,
You can't do anything.
just obey and nothing bad will happen. Siguro nga, it's also a good thing that they're
barely used, like you said.
time, diba? Kasi, it adds that fear eh. It adds that, parang alam mo sa Jaws, you don't really, huwag mo pakiting shark kasi it adds the tension eh. It adds that presence then.
Kasi we've seen stormtroopers just get slaughtered by Jedi all the time. So it's really refreshing to be scared of a stormtrooper. Like, oh my god, there's a stormtrooper walking around. There's a battalion of troopers walking around Ferrix, like we saw in the aftermath episode. Dun, like when after the heist, the empire really cracked down on Ferrix. Naging imperial site na siya, unlike before, di ba?
And yun nga, yung going there is it's also compelling to see that they just don't go there kasi they just don't go there to contain the conflict. Talaga pinag-aaral na ina-assess nila. They verify the information. That's what they do. Because what Dedra says is na if you're gonna answer with an armed conflict, then magpadala ka ng police, magpadala ka ng stormtroopers. That's not what we do in the ISB. What we do, we assess the symptoms and we treat it.
Yeah, they verify data. Actually, yung ISB scenes, they're one of my favorites. Who knew bureaucracy would be very gripping for me. It's a testament to the writing of the show. Like these ISB scenes, like nagmi-meeting lang naman sila, but it's very very tense.
And and they don't really get all what they want. You've got your cliche coworkers who would really make your life that your Miro. And it's a good thing that they don't really use the gender aspect. Typical workplace rivalry. Dedra is more, willing to think out of the box, and then her colleague is, kung anong inuto sa atin, yun na. Kasi yung coworker ni Dedra Miro is, Dedra really breaking the rules. He respects the rules so bad. I forgot his name.
I think it's Blevin.
Blevin, yeah.
Oh, Blevin.
And then he sees that parang more concerned sa image, whereas si Del Ramiro is more concerned with doing the job.
Even if they're the empire, they're all fascists, and they're all,
Oo.
authoritarian. Nandun pa rin talaga yung office politics eh. Hindi siya nawawala.
There will always be disagreement, and
There,
it's
there-
also
there's infighting among them.
'di ba? Tapos nung ano na, nung nagkaroon nung shenanigans Aldani, they got all panicky, they got on the offensive, parang doon na ano, scramble na no one's going home, pag-aaralan natin to, we're gonna look for the people behind this.
Siguro weird to sabihin, but I'm happy for Deidre na confirm yung ano niya. Kasi since the start, she's been like telling everyone na there's a brewing rebel alliance
Mm-mm.
forming. Ever since the first episode, I think sinasabi na niya yun na there's a pattern to these heists and robbery. So the Aldani attack just confirmed na there's an alliance forming here.
Pero hindi pa buo, they're not formed yet. And also I like that that it also give a look that how far Dedra would go. She goes beyond her clearance, her limits, checking on the archives. There's been another uprising in Jakku, which is also fascinating. They made name drop din sa sequel trilogy. Nagkaroon din na imply na it's been going on for a while scale. Saka sinabi niya rin, if we're planning something, we're not gonna jump on the same fence, something along the lines. I forgot the exact
Ah,
words.
mm,
Diba? It's more an organized effort. Pinaplano na nila. They're really, ina-ID na yung empire, and, how are they gonna find their return ni, Dedra.
yeah. And she's really scary. She's a
Mm,
scary
she's
character.
terrifying. And also, she takes no nonsense then, especially in interaction with Cyril Karn. 'Di ba, who recently got demoted and then got this lousy office desk 9 to 5 job, 'di ba? And then he makes this false alarm to get their information, her attention pala.
Yeah, in some ways they're both the same eh. Cyril Karn and Deidre. Like pareho
Mm,
silang nag-investigate on their own. Yung mga ganun,
mm.
like they really love the empire and will do anything. Kahit na out of their jurisdiction, gagawin pa rin nila eh.
Because they believe in their job, eh. They believe in what they do. It
Yeah.
it it also reinforces the idea of, it's not, them acting for the sake of being the bad guy. you know they're motivated by their jobs, by their career, by their lives, eh. Parang it's their lives what they're doing, eh. Parang they believe in it, eh. Parang they think of it as as their higher calling.
Yeah,
whereas with with Cyril, is he's doing it because he failed on his job.
uh,
Parang
both of
nawala na siya
them
ng fulfillment, eh.
both of them it's for their careers talaga. They believe
Mm-mm.
in what they do.
And I think the writers can learn a thing or two from, creating antagonists, not just acting as obstacles, but that there has to be a design. For example, sa worldview nila, I think it also helped them push their motivations, and, help them drive to take these actions.
Mm, mm.
High dynamic din ni Cyril Karn and Ded Ramiro. You know they're gonna meet at some point, but what's it gonna be like, di ba? Parang, are they gonna get along? Are they gonna be buddy buddy? But God, it's so cold, and like you said, terrifying.
She's she's different around Serial Connor. Mas authoritative siya eh. Compared sa pag nandun siya sa ISB meetings, mas subdued siya. So you really see this hierarchy of power sa loob ng
And
empire eh.
relationship outside, di ba?
Mm.
And that I really see Cyril Karn as this Karen sa restaurant that I want to see the manager, and then Dedra is this frustrated manager that who wants to get over with the Karen's complaints.
She doesn't care about Cyril. Yun lang.
Oh,
But I think there will be more interactions between them.
kasi na ano na, eh, parang nagkaroon ng bad impression si Dedra, and how is she gonna change her mind eh? That's the burning question eh. Parang how it will play out in the show. Kasi yung first meeting pa nga, it subverted expectations din, di ba? They got on the wrong foot.
Yeah. And when she asked what this, because they were looking for Luthen, eh. So
Mm,
it's not in the report. So she was asking Cyril what if he knew anything. This
yung description niya,
he fumbled the answer. Like
yeah,
I,
naka-hood daw. Parang
so
what kind of answer is that?
you really see yung disappointment sa mukha ni Deidre.
Oo, eh. Parang you came all this way just to tell me you saw a hooded guy and then you're not even sure kung anong color ng suot niya. It's black. Oh, it's violet. It's purple. Something like that.
Yeah. So he really blew it.
Which
Ay,
would also further then sa dynamic nila na especially on serials and na mas mapupush pa siya to get Miro in her good graces. Parang yun yung I think that's where he's going forward.
looking forward din ako na at sa mga more interactions nila. So, yung I think this week's episode sila first time nag-meet, no? It's episode 8,
Hmm.
Arcana
Yeah,
5.
yeah, Narkina 5. Speaking of Narkina 5, doon na tayo sa last part, which is yung sa recent episode.
Yeah, so before we get to it, gusto ko yung ano eh, like I'm impressed na they really showing different uh planets in every story arc, like
Tapos may synth pop pa, di
Aldani,
ba?
and then yung episode 7
Oo.
was they're in space Miami or Florida or
O
something.
Las Vegas or something. I saw some leaked set photos a year ago. Why is Diego Luna and the shore trooper on the beach? Saka bakit parang naka-vacation mode siya? And like, oh, that's what's actually happening. Like,
I'm really glad to see short troopers again. Gusto ko sila sa Rogue One. Actually, one of my favorite trooper designs, yung short trooper.
yeah, me too. Kind of
And
cool then.
yeah, and speaking of yung interaction nila, it really says something about yung oppression ng empire. He was just walking along the shore, and then
Oo.
they were these guys who were running from a trooper, and he was just on the way. So
Mm-mm.
then yun, bigla siyang nadamay, got arrested, even though he kept saying na he's just a tourist. And then he got sentenced to 6 years in prison,
In, mm. Actually,
which
hindi lang prison. Prison labor.
prison labor, no, as we now see in
Oo.
episode 8.
Oo,
And
in Arcana 5.
it's another new planet. And I really like how intricately designed these different planets are, very, very
Oo.
alive, very, very alive. They're lived in.
Oo.
So ang ganda ng sets talaga.
And you can tell that this is this is its own planet. It's not Endor 2. It's not another Tatooine, or it's not another Coruscant, which is sa Hosnian Prime, which which became one of the glaring flaws then sequel trilogy, and to an extent Mandalorian then. I mean, lalo na especially if you
Yeah.
get it like the volume, that it could have been more innovative, settled with this planet that looks like Tatooine,
Yeah, actually you're
some
right. Now that you mention it, no, talagang they're like yung mga planets sa movies, magkakamukha lang eh. Like you said, sa sequel trilogy, yung Jakku, which is Ray's planet, 'di ba? In Jakku. It just looks like Tatooine.
Tatooine na may basurahan, Tatooine na junkyard.
Oh,
And
it's
for
it's
sure there's an
still just a desert planet.
and for sure it's just I'm sure Tatooine has its own giant junk shop then, di ba?
Oo. So I really like what they're doing here in Andor, no.
And it
And
really proved that on location filming is always king.
yeah, it will always beat yung green screen digital volume ganun. It doesn't
Mm-mm.
look fake eh. It's very real, looks real.
Oo, and how they use these environments and then minimesh nila sa VFX and yung yung concept art and I'm also looking forward din dun sa what they'll do sa The Acolyte kasi they'll be also doing on location filming thankfully. Ayun.
Mm, yeah. So, let's talk about yung yung prison design. Ang ganda kasi nung prison design eh. Like it's very
Yeah,
it's very slave labor, no? Like they took off
sobra.
they told them to take off their shoes, for like inisip mo para saan? Tapos yung pala yung floor, it has,
Oo,
like gets very hot, it's
oo.
another way of oppressing them talaga.
Oo eh. And dun sa episode na yun, yung prison na yun, it really shows this claustrophobic feel that it really shows na how Empire really enjoy or talagang relish really taking their fist to your face. That feeling, it goes back to what Luton says that yung choke quote ni
Yung ba yung like they're choking us slowly that we're
the
getting
Empire is
used to it.
choking us. Wait, the Empire
Something
is
like
choking us so slowly, we're starting not to notice. It goes back there, it goes back, kung gaano ka, kapasista ng Empire in different aspects. Talagang mararamdaman mo, yung prison, how they subjugate and torture, citizens of Ferrix, lalo na si Bix Khalifa.
yeah.
And, how far they'd go na they'll occupy it. Tas inabsorb pa nila yung, di ba, yung department ni Cyril Karn and you guys now work for the Empire. Also, for a Star Wars show that, it's this belief then, I've read this tweet na, hey, I watched Andor, it's still this belief that Disney allowed a series that's so fiercely anti-cop, anti-prison industrial complex, so skeptical of government to get actually made. Gilroy made a series depicting how close space is to reality. I can't believe he got away with it. Quoting Brendan Hodgul.
Yeah, I
He's a
agree.
culture
It's
writer.
it's really it's really very realistic how they how they oppress the people, how it's you see it in real life, yung mga ganong aspects na
Mm-mm.
the small things, how they oppress you, like I think
How they
kasi
subjugate you.
I think they took inspiration from the Nazis din. I think yung that type of slave, yung prison camp, I think the Nazis employed
Mm,
that kind of uh punishment then before.
concentration camps rin. Pati rin Deborah is also based on the US then. Especially Palpatine was inspired from Nixon, who's really grabbing as much as power as he can. Kasi yung rebels yung looks pa lang nila, di ba, were copied from the Viet Cong. And, remember the Vietnam
Yeah,
War? Di ba? Yung
yeah.
how they really pillage villages. And, they eradicate culture like yung ginagawa ng Empire sa Aldani. It's very reminiscent din eh. I think what I think Tony Gilroy has done is he's one of the few who managed to inhibit George's message and subtext compared to other filmmakers who rely on nostalgia and other characters. Dito, he's delving deep on Lucas's statement on Star Wars, why he made it, diba? Doon na tiningnan from
Mhm.
that point of view. Parang, how would I depict these things on Cass and Andor's point of view
Yes.
on George's shoes?
Yeah, according to George, I think it was that interview with James Cameron, yung nag-uusap sila. I saw it on Twitter actually. Na George based Star Wars on the Viet Cong, like yung oppression ng US, the Vietnam War actually, yun. The US
Mm-mm.
versus the locals. Ganon siya eh.
Mm-mm.
So
Oo.
so for those saying na Star Wars is not political, it is.
Oo eh. That's been George's intention since day one. Yung mga Kurosawa references are just for aesthetic's sake.
Yeah.
I think that's what people took it the wrong way. They look so much on what they see, but the subtext not so much. And if you take on the subtext, other factors really rattle you out for being too radical. But that's George's intent. George Lucas is radical. Star Wars is radical,
And
right?
oh, speaking of radical, Saw Gerrera makes his appearance
Yeah.
in this episode, Narkino 5. We see Saw here. We
Mm-mm.
see Luthen meet Saw.
Mm-mm.
And it's surprising na na they have different philosophies pa rin, no? Like,
Mm-mm.
I thought Saw was an extremist, but may mas extreme pa pala sa kanya, si Luthen.
Oo.
Kasi 'di ba, like sabi ni Luthen, he really wants the Empire to level up the oppression. Kasi sabi nga niya, oppression breeds rebellion. So
Oo.
he really wants the Empire to move to further choke the galaxies, ganon. So,
Kaya nga
he
hinabol
wants
niya, di
to
ba, yung mga devices nila?
accelerate the rebellion, eh. And he
Oo.
doesn't care if lives are lost.
And Luthen is also the epitome of tone, we see in Rogue One. Parang he is that mascot of morally gray, morally corrupt morally corrupt side of the rebellion, who takes a lot of who'd really use any means to get things done.
Yeah, so it's this is where you see that, the early days of the rebellion, where they're not one big alliance yet. It's
Mm-mm.
a mishmash of different philosophies. Like, more Mon Mothma is more pacifist, mas dun siya sa dun siya sa political side, sa
Mm-mm.
dun sa Senate siya sa start ng rebellion, raising money, without any
Mm-mm.
bloodshed. Then on the other hand, you have Luthen and Saw, who are more guerrilla fighters. They really want to announce, to cause
Mm.
havoc, anarchy, ganon.
So it's more of an anarchist. He would take every chance to retaliate. And what's dangerous about Luthen is the way he thinks, the way he tackle different things. How he encourage people his own bidding.
Yeah, so he's more like an accelerationist than anarchist nga si Saw.
Mm-mm.
So it's really interesting how we will see the Rebel Alliance actually get along together.
Parang Luthen comes from this old establishment, this old guard, figures back in World War II, like yung sila Churchill, who would press harder kahit ang dire na ng situation.
And mas extreme talaga siya, because he wants to kill Andor. Diba?
Oo eh.
He thinks he's a loose end, so he sent Vel to find Andor and end him.
Well, actually, di pa nga confirmed if he actually had if he ordered that his assistant did it on her own accord. That's kind of ambiguous din eh. And that's
Yeah, yeah.
also fascinating than just the dynamic is they're not entirely on the same page with each other.
Yeah, actually mas unforgiving yung assistant niya. Like, we
Oo.
see we see here, she really cut off ties with Bix. So
Oo, wala na yung pag-hesitant niya, di ba? And then kino-call out pa si Luton, hey, don't do that.
so we see Bix call Luthen. Tapos kasi Marva is sick and is probably gonna die soon. But
Mm-mm.
she tried to call Luthen, but no answer. And then because she called them, na-trace siya ng Empire. So yung ending ng episode is Deidre went to Morlana 1 and
Mm-mm.
tortured Pac, and then probably
Mm-mm.
gonna torture Bix too. So we'll see in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll definitely see a lot siguro then on, see a lot of, how they'll really pull through of their own agendas. And I think this is where, maybe they'll get a clear picture of taking their actions then, that,
Mm.
there's no more half-heartedness, there's no more paranoia, I'd expect the next episode they're all hands on deck on whatever they'll be doing.
Yeah, the Empire knows there's a rebel group na, so yeah, they're cracking down on them.
And siguro this sa mga next episodes, and siguro we'll probably see why is Luton acting that way, you know.
Yeah, actually, I think I really want to see more on Luton, like
Oo,
more background on him.
it'll explore more. Kasi parang think of yung trope na the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What if,
Mm-hmm.
ano lang talaga, it's, you know, he's doing it kasi parang he had a bad blood with the Empire, pero hindi, wala talagang paki sa cause. Rebellion, di ba? It could go on to so many ways eh. Ito pa, yung sa prison, remember Melchi from Rogue One and some of the guys?
Ah, yeah, oo nga pala, Melchi was there.
Yeah, right. Tapos yung tapos yung suot nila parang white and orange. So parang it really gives a clear hint na they'll probably be the OG, yung squad.
Yeah, Melchi. Yeah, I remember
Oh.
him. He's there in the cell with him. So,
Mm-mm.
it's so curious tuloy ako, like, so if they escape, so for sure kasama niya si Melchi. So,
Oo, definitely. And some of the guys, yung mga saboteurs and assassins.
yeah.
Kasi
So, I
di ba,
think doon sila magfo-form ng bond eh. And
oo, yung
probably,
yan.
yeah, yeah, right.
Naalala mo yung conversation nila, Jin, yung parang saboteurs, assassins, parang, oh, we all came here because, we believe in the same cause. So parang magkakaroon din ng bond, brotherhood, and friendship.
Yeah,
It's,
like from that line din, sabi niya, ano ba yan? He did bad things for the rebellion. Uh,
mm,
Yun nga. Mara- uh,
and,
he had sleepless nights, ganon. He
oh,
did kill people talaga. So yun.
and I have a feeling then yung parts na ginagawa nila that they've been doing is most likely something to do na related sa Death Star, which would siguro add more weight dun sa sacrifice ni Cassian sa Rogue One. I may be wrong.
Yeah, actually, it's still up for speculation, but we'll probably see later on. But yeah, I think for now, it's safe to assume na Death Star part siya. Parang ganun. If not, siguro
Mm-mm.
mga TIE Fighter parts
Mm-mm.
or whatever.
Or hardware or parang siguro vehicle.
Mhm. Oh, and also, before I forget to mention, Andy Serkis is also in this episode.
Oh yeah, God.
Siya yung camp prison camp supervisor nila, si Andy Serkis.
Ah, it's
Yeah,
Florida
didn't
Way.
he
Akala
play Snoke? 'Di
yeah,
ba
pero
siya si Snoke sa sequels?
baka baka mamaya magkaroon na ng idea yung mga Redditors na na backstory ni Snow. Tapos nagpalit
Yeah,
ng
I know,
pangalan.
right? Wala
Eh,
lang.
di ba? It's not, di ba? Simon Pegg had a lot of roles at saka si John Favreau. Di ba?
Oh, it's funny lang na, oh, this guy is Snoke.
Yeah, akala ko na malikmata ako or something, but holy hell, that's Andy Serkis.
Yeah, it's Andy like ako rin I I I didn't know he's here because I don't remember the announcement of his casting, but yeah, it's a nice surprise. Okay, so I think that covers it, no? Yung
Oh,
all the episodes we've missed. So
that's everything
uh
na rin.
yeah, so really looking forward talaga ako dito sa prison story arc because ang ganda talaga ng build up ng season eh from
Mm.
ang dami na rin napagdaanan ni Andor from the first we see him in the pilot episode.
Looking for
Like,
his sister.
looking
Tapos
for his sister. Tapos naging
running.
siya, heist. Tapos ngayon, nasa
Oo.
prison naman siya. So, we really see yung development ng character niya.
How it'll, paano magpo-form niya yung motivations niya on, joining the cause. Parang it will be interesting to see how, those things will come into play that will make him a full-time, fulcrum. Kasi he became fulcrum at some point then, di ba? Or full-time rebel spy, di ba?
Yeah, so it's interesting na we see yung squad niya slowly, build, how he met his squad talaga.
Oo.
So, yun. So, I think, I think we're good for this episode. So
Yeah, we're good now.
I'm really just looking forward for the next. Yeah, I really can't say this enough. Andor is the best show, Star Wars show in a long time talaga. Ano siya talaga. It feels different. Hindi siya, it's very prestige TV eh.
And also,
Yeah.
it also show na ano na Disney can really is also capable of producing those kinds of shows.
With the right people, the right
Mm-mm.
creative, talagang I'm really glad they got Tony Gilroy for this one because yung credentials pa lang niya, he really knows what he's doing.
Oo. He knows how to craft stories. And
Yeah.
hopefully, outside of Star Wars, then Disney would produce high-profile projects. Maybe who knows, baka Fire Emblem. If Disney takes the same approach with Andor, baka ma-pull off nila. It could be their own Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or Octopath Traveler.
Oh, just I
And
have a fun fact lang before we end the podcast. For Witcher 3 fans, yung game ng Witcher 3, if you don't know, yung actress ni Deidre, siya yung voice ni Yennefer dun sa game.
oh
So,
wow, that's amazing.
na-realize ko lang din siya this week when I was watching because ang daming scenes ni Deidre this episode eh. So, parang like familiarize ko. Parang familiar tong voice ni Deidre. Tapos when I looked it up, she's Yennefer from Witcher 3. So the game. So like talagang mind blown na. Oh, parang
Ang dami din mga Brit actors then they start off with a lot of projects, either drama or video games. Kasi yung mga video game voice actors din sa UK are not only video game voice actors, they also take a lot of acting jobs. It's acting for them.
So yun lang, fun fact lang before we end this recording.
Definitely. I think I should check out the games then soon.
So yeah, so that's it, I think. So thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you, Mico, again.
Thank you, Drew, for making it today after a few weeks of
No
conflicts then.
Yeah. So to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. So again, I'm Drew.
I'm Mico, and see you at the finale, which will be a few weeks from now or a
Yeah, I
month
think
from now.
we have 4 episodes left. Kasi hanggang episode 12 to, no? Right? Yeah, right. So, yun. Thank you and bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.